Nothing's ever what we expect, but they keep asking where we're going next.
My name is Warwick Hughes. I run a business called Sink or Swim Productions, and I make music videos for a living. Just started going to gigs, filming for bands and things like that, and was really into it. And sure enough, I just kind of fell into music videos and went from there, essentially. Definitely varies between different bands. Like obviously you'll have a band that approach you being like, oh, here's like a softer song, we want like a slower type of setup with like lots of vibrance and nice colors. And then you have the opposite spectrum, which is like a band that's like, I've got a song that's going to melt your face off. I want something that's dark, scary looking, really just saturated and spooky. International scale, I guess. Like I've worked with a lot of bands, more so on like a live video spectrum of bands that I grew up listening to and got me into like good music, I guess, in the first place. I went over to America early this year, and that was just one hell of an experience. Got to work with some really awesome bands. Travel is the best part about it, hands down. There's no better feeling than like jumping on a plane and going somewhere completely different and filming there. Well, when I work with live bands, you get given a brief of what they're after. A lot of the time they just kind of trust your direction and trust whatever you'll produce for them, which is really, really handy. And I believe it's a better environment to work live because you have like an hour window to get everything that you need, especially if it's just like a one-off show, like sussing out the venue before the show starts, the possible camera angles that you could do throughout the place. Throw yourself in the deep end and learn from your mistakes. I've been doing music videos full time for the last year and a half now, and I've only in the last probably 6 months or so just finally got like a good system that works well for myself and my clients. Check me out on Facebook if you just search Sink or Swim Productions. Instagram, it's just Warwick Film, and Twitter, it's Hughes Warwick.
Welcome back. Now, one of the things that sets our city apart is our amazing food and cafe culture. Recently, there's been a shift from the tables to the streets, with more and more gourmet food trucks and street vendors popping up all over the city. Right now, we take a look at Melbourne's unique and ever-growing
food trucks in Melbourne have evolved massively in the last 3 years. I mean, in 2003 when we first started, no one really knew what a food truck was. They just assumed that it was a hot dog van or an ice cream van, and I've seen a lot of change. You know, we've got a lot of good chefs starting up food trucks at the moment, and people that are really passionate about doing a particular cuisine. So people in Melbourne now want to come out and they see it's a good vibe, it's good food. You can come in and, you know, go sit in the park, the Botanical Gardens, or one of our chairs, wherever you like. The Lord Mayor and the City of Melbourne have embraced the whole food truck scene now, and they want to jump on board with all of us. People of Melbourne know that, you know, coffee on the street or food trucks on the street are going to do a really good job, and just as good, if not better, than cafes.
I love our food trucks. I think they're a really interesting and different offer. A couple of years ago, we licensed 15 different food trucks for a trial. Now that trial will come to an end in November of this year, but they have been an enormous success. People want different types of offers. Not everyone wants to sit down in a five-star restaurant to have an expensive meal. People like to grab food on the go, but that doesn't mean it should be less interesting or less tasty. And that's what our food trucks and our street vendors do, dotted throughout the city. I think they're here to stay, and I think they add a lot to Melbourne's culinary scene.
Welcome to Thornbury is designed to be a permanent food truck spot. Somewhere where you can come and be out on a sunny day, or somewhere where it's not quite so nice. Previously, it's been hard to enjoy food trucks all year round. Welcome to Thornbury hopefully will address that by providing a destination for not only Melburnians, but also Australia and the world to enjoy food trucks all year round.
Well, I think those kind of events like this, it'll be the future for food trucks, really. Until more councils get on board with what we're trying to do, bringing that vibe onto the streets. Until that happens more and more, that's going to be the future. That'll be where a lot of the trucks will basically make a living. It's good because it gives people a location to go to. So Little Nom Noms brings, I guess, a modern take on Vietnamese cuisine. All the flavours are there, but we kind of tweak them a little bit, inject a little bit of jazz and modern flair to it, cater for the new kids on the block.
Melbourne's a city that's always been passionate about food, and the trucks are just an extension of that. It's probably been a push towards more informal dining over recent years, and the trucks make it more accessible by hitting the streets and the parks, where more people can get out and sample some different types of foods. Basically, wherever we're going to trade, we always promote to our followers, and via Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And there's a great relationship between most of the trucks too, so we tend to cross-promote each other, cross-promote the events, basically to try and draw as big a crowd as possible. Dos Diablos is all about authentic Mexican and Latin American food, tacos, quesadillas, nachos. That's essentially what we do, just with quality meats cooked with love, and vegan and gluten-free as well.
I feel like the more support we can have from councils, the better. I think when councils see what food trucks can bring to communities, they can bring a sense of occasion, they can bring new food to places that otherwise might be not utilised. I think it's positive. So for the Lord Mayor to support it in Melbourne through the Gourmet Food Truck Trial has been absolutely fantastic. And in future, I hope that there's a food truck in every corner.
How cool is that? Welcome to Thornbury looks like an awesome day out, but more importantly, a good excuse for eating all day. With that much food, we are spoilt for choice. And just between you and me, I hear that even established cafes and restaurants are now jumping on board the food van scene from time to time. Jimmy Grant's Hammer and Tong, they know where the fun is. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
My name is Elizabeth Jackson. I do Chinese pole at NICA, the National Institute of Circus Arts. Chinese pole is one of the oldest circus disciplines that you can study, and it used to be a predominantly male discipline. Chinese pole, in my opinion, is one of the hardest skills to learn because of how taxing it is on the body. You walk away from each session with new burns and bruises. Learning skills on Chinese pole is very different from each other. So some skills are extremely easy and you'll pick them up with 1 or 2 tries. Other times it takes weeks or months to pick up a skill. I started studying Chinese pole 3 years ago when I first came to NICA, and I did it only for 1 hour a week then because we weren't meant to be doing specialties, but our trainer let us anyway. Now this year we do it every day, 1 hour a day for 5 days a week. It's definitely as hard as it looks. It's, in my opinion, as fun as it looks as well. However, that could vary depending on your pain tolerance, because it hurts. But it's a good hurt. The reason that I continued with Chinese pole was the feeling of accomplishment I got, the fact that I could do the same tricks as all the guys were doing, and I felt strong and powerful. And that's a pretty good feeling. My trainer, Mr. Rong, has been extremely supportive of my training in Chinese pole. He's mostly trained men, so every session he comes up to me and goes, "How's your strength?" It's like, "Oh, it's getting there, getting there." And he's like, "Need more stronger, need more stronger." He's Chinese, so he has very broken English. It's adorable. In the future, I'm hoping to perform Chinese pole in traveling circuses. I'm looking at a lot of European circuses at the moment. I'm going to hopefully audition for them once I graduate.
Welcome back to Melbourne 22. Now, the bikes you're about to see in this next story may look very familiar to you, but not as you're used to seeing them. That's because James Clark from Champion Abbotsford breathes new life into his customised builds of the iconic Honda CT 110s, or more commonly known as the Postie Bike.
James Clark's my name. I run a custom motorcycle shop called Champion Abbotsford. It's in the back of the Yarra Hotel in Abbotsford. In the shop here we do custom Honda CT 110s, which are a small capacity bike that the postal service here in Australia use to deliver the mail. We buy the bikes at auction, and that's once a month. They come up for auction, maybe 40 or 50 bikes. So I go there and I pick the best bikes from a bunch. They're all usually pretty good bikes, but I tend to get the cream of the crop, so to speak. And then we bring them back here and tear them down and change them into fancy little street bikes. I obviously rode bikes as a kid, on the weekends, and me and my brothers all had dirt bikes, and then as I got older, I found an interest in sort of street bikes and custom bobbers and early English bikes and Japanese bikes as well. I liked the idea of making a bike your own. So then a friend of mine suggested that we try and customise a Postie Bike. And at the time I said, no, you can't be done. They're rubbish looking bikes. They're an ugly duckling. And we did one. It created a lot of interest. People were asking me on the street what it is. And then we sort of began doing a few different models, and now I've got about 6 models that we build. Obviously didn't know where you could go with a Postie Bike, what tyres were going to fit it, where I could get my parts. And in Japan at the time, there was a thriving Japanese scene for the Honda Cub. So I flew to Tokyo, met the right people over there that were building, the parts for the Honda Cub. And strangely enough, the Honda Cub is a close cousin to the CT 110. So most of those parts would fit our Australian bikes. I used to have to do a little bit of modification, but mostly they, bolt straight on. So I ordered an exhaust, a seat. I found that English Avon Speedmaster tyres fit the 17-inch rims. I ordered those from the UK. Then I found some neat little headlights in the US, ordered those. And slowly and surely, the bike came together and it was the right kind of look that I was after. More of a gentleman's ride than a biker's ride. Something that a learner rider would jump on and not feel scared to, zip around the city on. And that's pretty much the modus operandi for that bike. I get a lot of learner people coming in and wanting not a scooter but not a full powered motorcycle, something in between. There's no clutch on these, so it's just an auto. They're 4-speed with a centrifugal clutch, so it's quite easy to operate. They don't go fast, which is appealing for a lot of people that are learning to ride a bike. And they're cool once we've waved our wand over them. They're a good looking little bike, so yeah, they're popular. I like to keep them in the shop for longer than necessary. The customer always wants it, fairly quickly. But I like being able to sit back and look at the bikes once I'm done, and I also like to fettle the bikes a little. So, iron out any wrinkles before the new owner gets it, and test ride around the block a few times, make sure nothing's sort of loose or falling off, or sometimes you can get a spot leak of oil, and you certainly want to fix all of that before the customer gets it. I'm super proud of the bikes. They're a good quality product. They're Australian delivered and made. They're sort of repurposing something that would ordinarily, maybe even end up at the tip, but it's a recycling kind of, passion as well. You're looking at these old things, reinventing them as a new thing, and people are super stoked, to ride them.
What a great and unique way to give a second life to such an iconic bike. They're a real head turner, and I know a few people who would love to get their hands on one. I might just go and get my learner's permit. Well, that's all we have time for today. It's been a big one. Don't forget to add us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter for more info on the stories you've seen tonight and what's coming up. To take us out tonight, we have Static State with their song Restless. I'm Lisa Williams. See you next week, Melbourne.
Is this where it ends, or where it all begins? Where the tide rolls out and the waves crashing. I'm at a point between extremes, undefined infinity. This is the sound of my restless soul, my restless soul in symphony. Have we lost heart or hope along the way? Yesterday, when will we learn to live again? Why do I let go every time I get so close? Let the canvas fade, slip into decay. Now I find my hands are tied, bound between these paradigms. This is the sound of my restless soul, my restless soul in symphony. Have we lost heart or hope along the way? Rocking down, bleeding out. Have we let ourselves astray? Where is the love of yesterday? When will we learn to live again? No more running, we won't hide. This is our song, our battle cry. Stand as one, bridge the divide, and bring our restless souls to life. Have we lost heart or hope along the way? Rocking down,